So over 90% of our kids are successful with just tier one supports in our buildings, which is huge. And, when we
Yeah.
have an number like that, then it's much easier to manage kids in the tier two or tier three level because it's a much more manageable number.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My special guests today are Joya Mitchell and Erica Bauer. Joya is the Director of Student Services, and Erica is a school counselor and the PBIS administrator. And they are at Greene County School District, and that's in Union Township, Ohio. Joya and Erica, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I'm going to start with Erica. Erica, what is PBIS so our listeners know?
So PBIS stands for Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. And that is a framework that we use here in Greene Schools pre-K through grade 12 to help support our students. And basically that means we're going to use positive expectations and acknowledge kids when they're doing the right things.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us a little bit, Joya, about how you became a director of student services, a little bit about your background, and then Joya the same, and then tell us a little bit about Greene Local School District.
Okay. So I started as an intervention specialist at Cuyahoga Falls High School. I was in a at that time called multiple disabilities classroom for grades 9 through 12. I spent a few years there at Cuyahoga Falls High School, and then I transitioned over to Hudson Middle School. And I was in Hudson Middle School. That was a 678 building, special education, a range of students and abilities and disabilities. And I think I was there for 14 years prior to coming over to Greene Local. When I came over to Greene, I was the assistant principal at the high school for 4 years, which I loved. I loved interacting with the kids. And at that time, I was doing the PBIS work at the high school with one of our counselors there. And then I was still doing a ton of special ed work at the high school. So we had some shifting here at the central office, and the director of student services at that time was being promoted to the assistant superintendent, and she called me and just knew my extensive background in special education and my work at the high school. We had worked closely together at the high school. And she asked if I would actually asked but told me that she would the central office as the new director of student services. So gladly accepted and have been here ever since. So
And how long have you been in that role then?
oh gosh, I think this is my seventh year in this role.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah,
Fantastic.
yes. So it's been great. Our district is we have four buildings. We are, like Erica said, we are pre-K through 12. We
Mm-hmm.
just built buildings, so we have two beautiful new buildings. Our primary school is pre-K, KM1. Our new elementary is grades 2 through 5. Our middle school is 6th, 7th, 8th, and then our high school is obviously 9 through 12.
9-12, yeah. Awesome.
I think we're around close to 4,000 students.
So not small, not small.
Small,
Not
no.
huge, but not small. That's
Yep.
good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Erica, how about you? Tell us a little bit about your background.
So I was a second grade teacher for 3 years at the beginning of my career, and I loved being a teacher. I have been a school counselor for about 20 years, and I have worked primarily in the younger grade levels. So right now I'm in the pre-K K1 building. I've worked up to fourth grade. In my school counseling experience. With the PBIS, I've been able to work across the entire district, and it's been really cool to just see how similar and different those age levels can be. So it's been a really wonderful experience.
Awesome. So, how do you guys collaborate? I mean, we're here together, so I want to understand the reason that we wanted to interview you both together because it's really important, to discuss that, and then let's dive in a little bit.
Sure. I'll start. And Eric and I do a really good job of kind of um, going back and forth. But
Sure.
so when I was approached with doing this podcast, I met with I sorry I
Christy,
don't yes.
that's okay.
So we were kind of talking about all the same things we initially started talking about, but then it we started talking about a lot of the work that we're doing in this district right now, which is surrounded by PBIS, our positive behavior interventions and supports, our MTSS model, our students who, our mental health crisis that we have going on with our students who are just needing so much support in that area. So we talked a lot about that. And Erica and I not only work together and have for the last, I don't even know how, forever, I feel like. But we're also and we really work well together, and the PBIS work that we are doing, we're just both so very proud of. We've done podcasts about what we're doing for PBIS. We've gone to the national conference and presented at the national PBIS
Love it.
conference. We here in our district, I mean, like Erica's known as our like PBIS guru and queen. So we just we work so well together. I just felt it was really important for her and I to do this together, because really around like what's going on in our district is because of the work that we're doing in all of those areas. So
And it's so important. I don't mean to cut Erica off, but you guys talk about what's going on in your district. It's not just your district; it's
right,
across the United States. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
really important to get as many people to hear. How are you managing it? What are you doing? Positive
mhm,
behaviors. How are you getting there? And how can I, as an administrator, or as a counselor somewhere else, or somebody or a special ed teacher, or a teacher that's just dealing with these behaviors all the time, how can we make it better? What can we do? So Erica, please go ahead.
So I would say it kind of all started for Joy and I with the PBIS Road. My building, which is an early learning center, was a demonstration site for the state of Ohio in
Ah,
PBIS, which meant
okay.
we were able to get grant funding and a lot of coaching from our local state support team on PBIS and how to implement with fidelity. And we had a lot of success with that. We had a ton of support, again, from the state, and I had a lot of administrative support from my principal. We were doing good things at our building, and we really saw a good reduction in behavior. And so, then Joya and I started talking about why aren't we doing this across the district? This is easily translated and scaled up to all of our buildings in the district level. So, for me, the reason this is such a huge success is the administrative support we've had. So Joya fully supported and saw the importance of addressing behavior, addressing climate, addressing mental health, and really poured into the opportunities for our staff to learn more about it and for us to build teams at each building and really build our capacity to support the framework.
So you started out, how long ago was that?
Ooh,
2000,
it was probably
Was
about
it
10 ago.
yeah,
10 years ago? 10 years ago.
Mhm.
So 2016 maybe, somewhere around there. Pre-pandemic.
Yes.
yes, yeah,
And
Pre-pandemic.
we
Okay.
we started super slow in our building. We spent an entire year learning about PBIS and planning
Mhm.
before we
Mhm.
ever rolled anything out to our staff. And then I tried to take what I learned and what I was coached in and create that same model for our buildings. So we took it slow. We made sure that we were doing things with fidelity. We used data sources like the tiered fidelity inventory to drive our work, and we really tried to make it strategic and carefully planned.
one thing I touched on too was how important that was, that slow rollout. In our other buildings, we were doing PBIS at the same time they were, but we weren't doing it to the extent they were in terms of doing it the right way and with fidelity. We all had different expectations. We all had different rules, and we were not streamlined at all. So when I came on board in this role, that was one thing that was really important to Erica and I, is that we really streamlined this across the board. Our school expectations of being safe, being kind, being responsible are now in all of our buildings. I was going to say 5 buildings, but 4 now, in all 4 of our buildings. And it looks obviously a little different at each building because preschooler and high schoolers aren't doing the same thing to being safe and kind and responsible, but we were able to really work with our building teams to come up with those definitions for what those meant. And now our kids pre-K to 12 know what the expectations are. We have families that are supportive of that and use that language at home. It's out in our community.
Nice.
So that is one thing that we really, really felt strongly on, that wasn't aligned, that we had to do right off the start. So
So this is not like MTSS, where a child multi-tiered system of support, where a child is identified and they go into a tier 1 situation or a tier 2, as if they're depending on their needs. This is you are doing this across all students. Is that, help me to understand how you're implementing it?
Yes. So we do use a tiered level of support, but what we started with and what we were talking about with our district-wide expectations is really our tier 1 level of PBIS. So yes, we want
Okay.
all students to access that tier 1 level of support, and we've used that as leverage to build community. So that by having those clear expectations and making it really simple, that really, in our district, that's what PBIS means. Now, clearly, PBIS is a lot more than that, but for our families and kids, they're like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, be safe, be kind, be responsible. And that is a great foundation because we have to have those expectations explicitly out there if we want to have any success.
What if every student could work with a therapist who brings not just credentials, but years of experience and wisdom to the table? At Lighthouse Therapy, most of our therapists have over 16 years of real world experience. We don't just fill seats. Instead, we find therapists who've seen it all and know how to help. And every new therapist is paired with a mentor to help them guide them every step of the way. Whether through virtual, hybrid, or in person delivery, your students are getting services that's thoughtful, experienced, and genuinely human. Visit lighthouse therapy.com/brighter together to learn more. Right. So then how are they referred to a tier 2 or beyond?
So we have a referral process in each building, and we have tier 2 teams. So when students, we have certain thresholds, if they have so many behavior reports based on the data from that building, then they would be referred to tier 3. And then we have continued thresholds and they would be referred, or tier 2, and then they would be referred to tier 3 if they hit the next threshold. So we really try and make our decisions data driven. Instead of just saying, oh, this is a problem, we're looking at, is tier 1 being implemented with fidelity? If it is and they're still having trouble, then what can we do at the tier 2 level to support them?
So with your tier 2 students, do you see it being like more of a crisis, a short-term thing that's going on, or is it more of a behavior that may turn into an IEP, or a combination of both?
I mean, I think it might be a combination of both, but I don't think it's like it's not we're not in crisis situation yet. I think we're trying to put some extra supports in place. So we're really focusing on those tier 1 supports. We're going to put a couple more things in place to support that kiddo, to make sure we're doing the best that we can to make sure their needs are met. And then we're going to take some data on those things that we put into place, and then if they work, great, we're going to continue on. And if not, then we're going to tweak some things, maybe add another intervention before we move on to tier 3.
Really, the goal of tier 2 is to
Gotcha. So,
prevent tier 3.
Yeah.
We don't want
right,
students to
right,
hit
exactly.
that tier 3 level. So if we can put a few simple things in place, then we're preventing having a lot of escalated behaviors.
Erica, I'd like to go back because I feel like I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. So how foundationally did you guys set this up, and how do you move it forward? And I'm thinking of people that are listening as well, like, oh, I want to do this. So where does it begin? I know you said you did training and you had a grant, but how would you tell somebody, or what advice would you give to somebody about how you set it up?
So I think a couple things. We definitely relied on the tiered fidelity inventory. So that is a
Okay.
evaluation tool and action plan that can be downloaded by anyone free of charge. And that drove our team to answer questions. And as Joya said, we were all kind of doing PBIS a little bit, but we weren't utilizing the tools that they had. And we were trying the best we could, but it was not as good as it could be. So, by using that tool, it really helped us answer a lot of questions. We also had a team. I think it's so important to have a team that includes all the key roles in your building. You definitely need administrative support, you need teacher input, you need to be asking paraprofessionals for their input. You really need a well rounded team to start and starting slow. So, really taking the time in the beginning to outthink any kinks that could happen with your system before you roll it out to staff. We were lucky enough that what we rolled out about 10 years ago is still in place and working well. So, in education, I don't see that happen a lot with anything sticking around for 10 years. So, that's something I'm really proud of. And we've been able to scale it up to all our buildings, which is an awesome accomplishment too.
And we started slow with those buildings as well. We started with creating the tier one teams at each building. We made sure that those teams were solid, the process was solid before we moved on to establishing tier two and tier three teams.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And then, what kinds of, I know you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but what kind of roadblocks or what kind of difficulties, you guys have been clear, you need to start slow. Why? Tell me why I would need this. What am I going to run into that's going to make it hard for me to have this program be successful?
Well, I think the biggest roadblock to overcome first is staff buy in. So,
Ah,
anything that you implement that's new is extra work, and everybody's very busy. So, we really
right.
made it a point to not make this so challenging that nobody could do it. We needed staff buy
Mm-hmm.
in from the beginning. So, that's why it was important to have those teacher voices on our teams because then they can share out with their fellow colleagues, hey, this is why we're doing what we're doing. And so having that staff buy-in is probably the first obstacle. Um, Once you have their buy-in, it's much easier to get student buy-in, which would be the next obstacle in my book. And then
Okay.
community buy-in. So, we really were thinking about those groups and how can we achieve that? What can we do to support our staff? Teachers have a really hard job. They're with kids all day, and my role is to help make it a little bit easier. So, what can I do for them so that they can implement this well?
Right. Very good. Very, very good. So you guys have been doing this for over 10 years. So I know you're doing the measurements. So what kind of success are you seeing? And like, do you have a comparison to what maybe is happening other places?
I don't know about I do want to say we have a lot of local districts that reach out to us all the time that want to know what we're
Ah,
doing
okay.
and know our process.
Uh-huh.
Can't probably 10 districts
Mm.
maybe
Yeah.
that have reached out and want to know what we're doing, especially when it comes to our community partnerships.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of that. I think that will be one.
Yeah, so our district, the state of Ohio provided recognition for PBIS, and our district has historically gotten recognized at the district level and at each building level for the work that we're doing, which means we're implementing with fidelity at 80% or higher. So that's
Nice.
another piece of it. So in that, we had to answer to data points proving that what we're doing is working. And to me, that's the best kind of recognition, to see that the work we're putting in is giving the output that we want. So over 90% of our kids are successful with just tier one supports in our buildings, which is huge. And, when we
Yeah.
have an input like that, then it's much easier to manage kids in the tier two or tier three level, because it's a much more manageable number. Um, Not
For
hard
sure.
data, but just as a school counselor in a building, I've seen a huge improvement in climate, in reduction of behavior reports, and just the general feel of my building. It has improved greatly. The language that teachers are using is common. The kids know what we expect. There's no confusion with that. There's a clear system for when there is a behavior and what's going to happen next. Parents know what's going on, and they have also started to implement what we do in our schools and home. So those are the things that are most important to me. We do a parent survey every year, and I think 98% of our parents last year knew the expectations. They knew our be safe, be kind, be responsible. That in itself is huge, just that they are aware of what we're looking for in our students.
Mhm.
Yeah. You've changed your culture. You've changed the culture of your school. You really have. That's amazing.
And at the middle school and high school level, that is hard to accomplish, because middle school and high school
Mm-hmm.
kids, you're rewarding them and good job being safe and kind and all and responsible, but sometimes they're too cool for school in high school, right? But we have had, and some of our teachers, some of them, I would say the large majority of our teachers at the middle school and high school are really buying in and doing the work. We have some that don't. I mean, every district is going to have that. But our kids are also buying in, and they love the rewards. They get some I believe it's at the middle school. The kids are giving ideas, like, we would like to see more candy, we would like to see this in the store or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
they have some input, so then the buy-in is there. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah. You
middle
want to,
school, high
if
school
I
can be
want to do
challenging.
this, yeah, if I'm going to do this, I want to get the good stuff, not just some trinket
Yeah,
that I don't care about, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
absolutely.
gotta do
We
the good
we
stuff.
all love what we do and we all work, but it's nice to get paid. It really is
Yes,
nice to get paid. Right.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. So I know people are going to be interested. So tell people where they can go to find out more information about Greene Local, and how they can reach out to you guys if they have questions, because I'm sure there will be. You've had 10 local. I'm sure you're going to have some others.
Sure. So our website is greenlocalschools.org. Um, anybody can find us there. Both of our contact information will be there. Our email addresses are just our first name, last name. So it's mitchelljoya@greenlocalschools.org. Erica's would be the same thing, Bauer Erica at greenlocalschools.org. When we were at the national conference, we obviously gave our contact information out, and we had multiple people from all over reaching
Mhm.
out about the work that we were doing. So we're happy to talk to other districts and to other folks about what we have going on here. So
I love it. I love that you're willing to come on to the show, to spend your time with me to explain it, and to be willing to share. It's the beauty of educators. None of us silo our stuff or have this, like, we've got to keep it for ourselves. Everybody wants what's best for kids. And I think that embodies the name of the show, which is Brighter Together, right? Because we work together to help these kids, to help the students. So if you're in a district that's struggling with these things, these ladies know what they're doing, obviously. So thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for your work that you're doing, and just keep it up. I'm so impressed with you guys. So thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.